Born from the real-world needs of Resolve Marine, the Resolve Maritime Academy offers unmatched training for maritime or marine, firefighting, safety, and resource management. Our courses are taught by active professionals, providing hands-on experience that goes beyond industry standards. Whether you need STCW, USCG, or MCA certification, Resolve Academy will prepare you to mitigate emergencies, saving property and lives. Training as real as it gets, with real-world scenarios and live-action simulations. Push your limits, bring out your inner hero, and become an indispensable member of your team. Resolve Maritime Academy, where real-world training meets real-life expertise.
Hi, this is Rick with Yachting USA, produced by Yachting International Radio, and I am with my friend Samantha Moore today. Samantha, thank you for joining us. Let's have some fun.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
This is exciting for me too. This is going to be fun because this is our 33rd episode we're doing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And they seem to get better and better, which is always fun. I had a dear industry friend a couple months ago. She was going through some of my podcasts, and she made the comment of, "Careful, Rick, you don't want to be too much of a misogynist here. I don't see very many ladies being interviewed by you." And I'm thinking, oh, well, you know what? We are in a male-dominated industry. It's a reality check, and I've got plenty of ladies on the list who are interesting that we're going to have interviews with, and you're not the first, and you're certainly not the last, but I'm so glad to be here because you founded Professional Women in Yachting.
I did.
I love that. I
Me
love
too.
that. Yeah, that's so cool. And you did that, in March of 22, something like that?
Correct.
So just over 2 years ago?
Yes.
You started your maritime career, if I understand, as a Jersey girl, up on the Jersey Shore as a sailor?
Well, not in a sailboat. I actually have never even been on a sailboat.
Okay.
But yes, I did grow up in the Jersey Shore. My dad always had yachts and sport fishing boats. So, I mean, growing up, getting our pizza on our little skiff. So
Love it.
yeah, always been.
All right. And then you guys moved to South Florida.
We did. We moved to South Florida. I grew up in Wellington a little bit, big equestrian.
I was going to say, that's horse country out there.
Yes, so I was a very competitive equestrian rider, show jumping, and then we moved to Jupiter on the water. We got back into the boat scene again, and so nice growing up in Jupiter.
Yeah. It's funny. I went to college just north of you in Jensen Beach, Stewart, and what a wonderful place to spend a few years and to be in that world. Yeah, really cool. And back then, Jupiter was known for Burt Reynolds and the panache you brought in there, and it's still quite a community. It's still a place I love to go and do diving, and I've got friends up there that do shark research. So Jupiter's a cool place. If you don't know Florida, check it out, look it up, visit if you can. But you're down here now.
Now I'm in Fort Lauderdale, yes.
All right, fantastic. So Jersey girl, you come down here, you go to FSU, go Knowles.
Go Knowles.
All right, that's good stuff.
Seminole for life.
Yeah, well, it's a good school for sure.
Had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, it's growing up too. There was like basically two schools that you were going to look at. If it was going to be Seminole or it's going to be the Gators.
Yeah.
There's been a few other schools that come in, and NSU is one that my son wants to look at hard. But
oh, right here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because he's into
one of our partners.
Maritime sciences and interested in staying in that kind of space. And we'll talk about that later because I know what you do and what Professional Women in Yachting advocate touches on maritime science and what I call doing well for others.
Of course.
So that'll be fun to talk about. So your history, you're in the yachting industry. I know your uncle really well, Michael.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
He's not my uncle. He is my cousin.
Cousin. I'm sorry. I got that wrong.
And long lost cousin, to be exact. We figured out that we're from the same kingdom, if you would, in Ireland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have just recently found each other.
We'll go with that because
Yes.
you both are well established in the yachting industry.
Well, I love him.
Well, I love him.
Cousin for life.
I love him too. We did a podcast early on. I think he was my second guest actually, and I tell the story. We went for an hour and a half in the conversation, and I was definitely channeling my Joe Rogan. It was amazing. We could have gone longer, but I realized
I'm sure
that
you could have.
90 minutes in, it's like okay, maybe we'll do a second go
Part
around
two.
in the near future, part two. But it's cool to have another Moore in the episodes. You bring a completely different slant and a completely different background in history, and I think that's so cool.
Well, thanks.
So Talk to me a little bit about starting Professional Women in Yachting. What was the impetus that said, screw it, I'm going to go do this?
So, PWY was founded predominantly out of anger, my own anger, having been in this industry for a while. And I know that's taboo to say, and I've been advised 100 times by gentlemen to not say that. But the real raw fact is that I was angry. It was very difficult for me in this industry, and I knew that I was not the only woman suffering to get ahead. So I needed to create something where at least us women could come together and help support each other advance in our career place. When I first started it, I had no intention of it being a 501c3 nonprofit, but having always been passionate about philanthropy and, of course, marine science and ocean conservation, I figured let's put in this philanthropic aspect of the organization, and together we can bond through charity and helping grow our research for marine development, saving sea turtles, things that I feel like we should all be passionate about in this industry, because as if the oceans goes, the whole industry goes.
Boom.
So it was a perfect come together moment, and 501c3 we became.
Congratulations. And I'm going to go on the record as a older male industry professional who's been in this game for 40 years. I get it. I've seen it myself. There is actually a lot of misogyny in this industry. It's not pretty. It's interesting that you've been warned by people to tamp it down, and I would tell you, speak your truth. Absolutely speak your truth. It's the only way you break through that barrier, you break that mold, is to demonstrate the abilities. And in this day and age, you're crazy to think that just because you're XY chromosome, you have some huge advantage over XX chromosome. It just, unless you're in the Olympics. No, really. But it's important, I think, to understand that women don't need to take a supporting role in yachting. I've seen amazing captains really flourish in the yachting career. I've seen some businesses started by some amazing women. Ethical Yacht Wear is going to be sponsoring Yachting International
Lauren,
Radio.
know her well.
Lauren's done an amazing job with what she's doing. And you just look at people like that, women like that, that have a vision and say, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. And they do it. And they do it really well. So again, on the record, I'm all about it. I'm completely supportive of it. And I recognize openly that women in yachting have some barriers. But I like to think that they're coming down a little bit.
I agree.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I think since I started the organization, I've seen so much more women-focused events, awards, like organizations being formed, and really girl power rallying together, and it's really cool.
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that Andrea I'm gonna ruin Andrea, so I'm just gonna say Andrea. She's a partner with us in Yachting International Radio. She is hosting the first Women in Yachting awards that are going to be done at the Mets Trade.
I saw that.
Yes, and I think that's really cool. That's
Love
part
it.
of our organization. My own network, Yachting International Radio, was founded by Ray Rao, a Canadian woman who, like you, basically wanted to hit the F it button and say, I can do this, mm-hmm. and I'm going to do this. And I know she has run into walls and barriers, and it's her tenacity, it's her actual, maybe some of that anger you talked about that's real, but
it's powerful.
I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this,
mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you push through and you do it, and then it becomes amazing. So I will be in Amsterdam. We're going to be broadcasting from the Super Yacht Forum and from the Mets, and I will be there for the awards. And
amazing.
Anybody listening to this that would like to participate, come on over. It's a great city. It's a great event. This is going to be a really cool recognition of women in yachting.
Very
I think it's
excited for
important.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
I'm going to nominate
stuff
you,
like
by
that.
the way.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Give me an excuse to go to Amsterdam, please.
Why not?
Please.
I know the city real well. I've been going for over 30 years.
Really?
I'd be a great tour guide.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Tour guide Barbie and Ken. Let's do it.
There you go. Let's do it. I love it.
All right.
So when you look at breaking barriers and the growth of this organization and yourself, where do you see this going? How are you attracting in getting traction with other women who go, wow, look at this, I should be part of this?
Absolutely. Our network and membership has grown tremendously over, I would say, the past year. We've had the most growth. We see our marketing efforts and our word of mouth getting out there, and now we're having upper C-suite level women come and join our organization, asking what they can do to help us, putting us in touch with their networks,
Yes.
which is ultimately the goal, right? We're a fundraising organization. Our goal is to fundraise for marine science and ocean conservation. So we need the women that have these wealthy contacts and industry connections to help us promote and grow this organization. It's been so wonderful. A sub part of our organization is very crew based. We have a lot of young green crew that enter the industry that are lost.
Yes.
And we want to provide at least an outlet for them to ask questions, or if they're scared on a boat. You wouldn't believe how many messages I get on Instagram from green crew in a sticky situation. They don't know what to do. They're new, they're scared, they're alone. Well, you don't have to be. We monitor the Instagram and our email constantly, and we can always help or have somebody in our network that can help. Lots of maritime attorneys, such as that, sexual harassment stuff, I don't know how to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
We're helping bridge that gap for young crew, because we need crew. The whole industry needs crew, and we have to respect our crew. There's no HR department for crew.
And
So
people
we
that
try our
follow this
best.
podcast, they hear me say this all the time. I describe what I call as the sacred trinity in this industry. Owners, because if you don't have the owners, you don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Crew, because if you don't have crew, and good crew, happy crew, well-trained crew, proficient crew, you don't have happy owners, you don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the asset and the shipyards, so the vessels and the infrastructure, the shipyards that support those. And we talk about how we've lost so much manufacturing in North America, but we've got all this manufacturing in Europe and Asia and Turkey, and how we bridge into these resources to support this sacred trinity.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the crew part, and most everybody that follows this podcast or knows me knows that one of the things I recently did is I set up and I built a very successful yacht management company here in the United States. And while I was working in that space and building a fleet and hiring crew, and working with owners and working with captains to attract the right crew and attract the right culture on board these boats, it became painfully apparent that you're right, the greenies, the people coming in that don't know what they don't know. And they get put on boats, and sometimes they hit the lottery and they get a great boat with a great owner, and the program's dialed in, and the head of departments are great, and they have a good experience, and they get pulled up, and they do well, and they move on. But help those that get on the wrong boat, either with a bad owner or a bad captain, head of departments that are not leaders, whatever that looks like. And so having a resource, hopefully you've got your shoreside support through your management company or through your ownership group, whatever that looks like. But it's nice to have additional resources that are out there, and certainly hopefully we're promoting that right now in this conversation for those who are listening in, that here's a resource, whether it's a WhatsApp message or a phone call. We'll put some of your contact information into this podcast so that it's out there as a resource for those who are listening and following along. Thank you. I think that's a real gift and a benefit you're bringing to our industry.
Well, we're happy to do it, and it's much needed. And if we can at least help just one person, which we have, I think it's all worth it. So,
Right. Yeah, but you're doing more than one person.
Yes.
And you get what you give, and so when you're giving that out there and you're giving it out there, that will come back.
Hope so.
It will. No, it absolutely always does. Always does. So as I was doing a little bit of research on what you're doing with professional women in yachting, and I looked at some of your board members, I recognized all of them actually. Good. And one of the things I saw in common with a lot of them was YPY, Young Professionals in Yachting.
Yes.
And I think I've talked about YPY quite a bit, and we're going to have a podcast talking to some of the people involved in YPY coming up soon. And I think this is so cool how you've got these three-letter acronyms. No, these companies, these organizations that are, they are congruent. They work well with each other because the young professionals in yachting that come into this game often come in not knowing what they don't know. When I started, we had nothing like that. Unfair advantage, big time unfair advantage. But
you still made it. Though,
hey, yeah, by tenacity and ignorance maybe. But here we go. But no, that's cool. And so, do you find synergetic relationship there? Are there other organizations too you like to work with in this industry that are helpful? Or
of course, it's funny you mentioned YPY because I have been a member of YPY for a few years now, and YPY is great, okay? I've made so many great connections. I love being a part of that organization. Chris Coleman is a dear friend of mine for like 10 years now. And when I wanted to start PWY, I actually did a play off of YPY with that.
Sure.
And I did ask permission to like kind of copy them a little bit.
Right.
And they were all for it. They were like, actually, you know what? We need something like this. This is great. We're all in. Go ahead.
Good.
So YPY definitely introduced me to the younger professionals in this industry. Sometimes you get these older, tenured professionals that are a little intimidating. And it's nice to have somebody age appropriate to speak with about stuff, and you're on the same career path and journey.
Right.
So YPY is a great organization. They throw killer parties, which we all know. I mean, it's the yachting industry who doesn't like a good cocktail hour.
Right.
And it really does set you up for success and networking, which I wanted to take a little bit of that from them. Of course, the three-letter acronym, and then add my philanthropic aspect, but make it just women. So it was a little bit of that. USSA has been great, obviously. Kitty McGowan, we had her on our panel, our women's panel, and she's amazing. I love her. They throw great events too.
She's a dear friend.
Great networking.
And absolutely has also struggled and fought and battled to achieve what she's achieved. Right, yes.
Yeah.
And she and I have had these conversations. And I've observed firsthand the slings and arrows thrown her way as the president of USSA. I was a board member of USSA for a period of time. And so, yeah, it's real. But she's tenacious and she's held her ground, and I think she does an amazing job and really gives to our industry well.
You have to. Being a woman in this industry, there's no time for complaining. You just have to deal with it. Because the second you complain, it's like, see, this is why we don't let women do this. And that's not our thing.
Right.
Go home, cry at home, do what you got to do, let it out, but show face. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and Kitty's really good at that.
I get it. And that's something I hate to admit it, but most of us gentlemen in the industry, we don't have to deal with that so much. We all struggle. Well, we all struggle too, but it's a different kind of thing. And I think the macho side of it too kind of gets in the way, so you can't really put it out there. You just have to go on, deal with it, and whatever.
No, you can go home and cry too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I mean it happens. I'm not negating men's emotions.
No, we all have our high spots and our low spots,
of course.
And I'm certainly no exception to that at all. Something I think we have in common, and I'm just looking forward to talking about this too. I work really closely with the Seakeepers, International Seakeeper Society, not to be confused with Seakeepers, the stabilizers.
Right.
Have for many years and have supported a lot of their initiatives. I brag that my boat, Surface Interval, which is a 32-foot center console, is one of the smallest, if not the smallest, discovery vessel in their fleet. Yay!
Hey,
but
we
use it a lot. We've supported NSU with some of their grad students doing some work offshore. We've been involved in some coral research and restoration. I'm involved closely with a program called Project Baseline, which basically brings citizen science to the boating public, divers particularly, that can go into locations and set up baseline stations to document what's going on and help us see what changes are happening in the ocean. My own son spent a week with the Mote Marine Laboratory in Summerlin Key last year and learned about coral restoration, and we're growing coral on the coral trees. And
I did that before.
Did you?
I did a coral outplanting with YPY. And oh my God, that's some hard work.
It is.
Like, you have to hold yourself down and hammer, and then like worms come up, and then there's like fish, and then you have to 3-point contact. But yeah, I saw I saw all of that down there. It's amazing the work that they're doing.
Yeah, and now here's something to think about, because I was in a meeting not too long ago where they were talking about the port expansion. They're going to be doing more dredging, and they're going to be expanding Port Everglades considerably, but they're spent a lot of time talking about the ecological conservation part of it. Special barges they're going to use, they're going to minimize the silting and blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about transplanting and planting over, I think it was 5 million corals in the process of this. That's a lot of corals.
On the outside of the...
Yeah, outside,
okay,
to mitigate the sites and all of that. So it's kind of cool to see that kind of ecology is going. But I bring it to the table because I know that's big on what you guys are all about, and wanted to get your thoughts about how both your organization and our industry as a whole can plug into this type of...
So, yeah, I mean, my dad builds super yacht marinas. So I know actually far too much about what the damage how much damage happens to the ocean floor from dredging, pile driving, all of that stuff. The Army Corps of Engineers, you got to look for the seagrass, make sure it's this, you got to plant it and transplant it. And I have to tell you, there's a huge system in place that I think functions really well for stuff like this. If you know the project, the West Palm Beach, where they hold the boat show.
Yes, of course.
Those docks there. But if you go outside the boat show to the very south end, you can see a nature walk with all of those rocks and stuff.
I've seen it.
Okay, my dad built all of those docks.
Bravo.
And those are the most awards he's ever won for ecological preservation. You can see on the main dock where they have like Benetti and Dahman and all that during the show.
Yeah.
And you can see the oyster beds that he put in each thing. And I mean, I think the industry as a whole is genuinely concerned about preserving the environment,
They
right?
should be.
I don't think there's like so many a-holes that are like, who cares? Let's destroy it.
No.
I truthfully don't feel like that's happening. But from a basic citizen standpoint, how to get involved, is that what you're asking?
Well, a little bit. I think what I've noticed is there's a lot of this. You look at this industry and do a cross section of our industry, and you've got some people in our industry that never leave their office. They're watching their bottom line spreadsheets. They're sending their people in the field to do the thing, and while they're making their income off of the ocean and in the business they conduct that is involved in our industry, frankly, so many have no clue about our ocean. They don't understand the impact that a sick ocean could and will have on our businesses if we let it be.
Do you think that's the older generation or the new? Because I think there's no way that you don't have an idea that this is not being impacted right now. I mean, if you have a cell phone,
Right.
the ocean's in danger.
But you got to give a shit.
This is true.
Okay. And that's maybe where I'm going with this. I think some people are so focused on their bottom line and they're so disconnected from the ocean that they just don't see it. They don't understand why it's so important. And very few companies that I've been associated with actually put budgets aside for these philanthropic type of supporting ventures.
I know, it's been hard to get money.
Yeah, it is. And it's hard. Sometimes when you're sitting in a board meeting, it's hard to justify, why you want to take 1/2% of your revenues and put them aside for something outside of your own business. But I think it's important that we as an industry keep this in front. And that's why I think your 501c is important to recognize as one of several, just like Seakeeper Society and some others that are Project Baseline's another 501c. These are all not-for-profit organizations that's primary and pure focus is to improve conditions in the ocean and improve people's awareness of conditions on the ocean. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if we do nothing other than that, I think we've accomplished a lot.
I agree too. I mean, it's just the people that do care will do stuff. And I find that more and more people are starting to care. I'm not sure what to do with the people that don't care. I feel sorry for them.
Right.
And by the way, to allot part of your budget or not allot part of your budget to donate to 501c3 organizations that are doing this stuff doesn't mean that you don't care.
No, I agree.
But it would be nice to put your money where your mouth is and help us along, because it is very important, and a little bit does go a long way in a nonprofit organization.
And I think that's the point. I think it's really more of an awareness thing than anything else. That I think it's too easy to just go through your day after day after day doing the same thing, and you see these things come across, or you're on your social media and you see some post of shark finning or whale harvesting, or the crap that just is so brutal and difficult to watch. And you go, oh, it's way beyond my ability to do anything about, so you just keep going. And maybe that is above your individual ability to help. But as a community and cumulatively, I think when you put focus on things like this, you have a much better opportunity of affecting change in awareness. And awareness is maybe the more critical point.
Well, look at where we're sitting right now in Sunreef's office. I mean,
Right.
I think they're changing the game, truthfully. They're coming out with the zero emission boats, all solar powered and lithium batteries. It's a zero emissions sailing. It's silent sailing.
I saw one of their boats that was a power cat that actually had windmills on the upper deck.
Amazing.
It was over at LMC, actually.
Oh, I think I saw that
All black boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really cool boat. I actually posted something on my LinkedIn. I saw it. I thought, now it's the first yacht I saw actually with a pair of windmills to collect wind power that goes along with all the solar power they're collecting. And I think that's cool technology, and it's necessary, and I'm glad to see it happening. And there's going to be future conversations about what that looks like and where that technology takes us.
I mean, it's unavoidable. Science will advance.
Guaranteed.
You will have to follow suit. It's
right.
it's a progression of how society will redo yachting
Right.
slowly but surely, and it will become more eco-friendly because of our ocean problem.
Well, we have to address that. You look at what FedShip's been doing with some hydrogen power.
I mean, yes,
And
it's innovation.
LNG is another thing that is really becoming, it's more in the commercial side, but it's going to filter into the yachting side. So you've got the electric space, the LNG, liquid natural gas, you've got hydrogen. Be cool to see hydrogen cells getting small enough for the ability to create it so it could get in the smaller boats. It works on the 90, 100 plus meter boats a little better. You've got maybe more storage space on board those boats to deal with that power source. But nonetheless, these are improvements, and I make the claim that when people look at the yachting industry, and there's a lot of people outside of our industry that look at it and say, oh, this is an industry of greed and just unabashed pollution, and they don't care. And I would say, actually, no, you have to look at the fact these high net worth individuals that are having these vessels built, these very large vessels particularly, they're investing so much in technologies that you can't do. A small production boat builder doesn't have the budget to come and invest in these future types of technologies. So it truly is a trickle-down effect. When you've got a yacht owner that's willing to spend tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in new types of technologies to go into the boat he's having built, once that gets proven and demonstrated that it works, and is been built by manufacturers and subcontractors that learn how to build the components and those parts to make it work, then and only then can you start scaling it down to it eventually ends up in the smaller boats, and maybe 15, 20 years from now, it's in the everyday boats we see populating our waters.
Voltari over here, they're all electric.
Yeah.
You're seeing more and more of these pop up. I think it's becoming a trend. Look how cool Teslas are. I mean, everybody wants a Tesla.
No,
Why not have a Tesla yacht?
That's cool. That's absolutely true. There's that whole conversation about the power grid, and at some point in time, that needs to be looked at to be able to actually charge these vessels, these automobiles, trucks, whatever that looks like. And that's why it's all scalable and it needs to be scaled. You couldn't turn a switch tomorrow and have everything go electric.
Right.
It wouldn't work. But the fact that we're building that technology, that's what's cool.
I think
and
it's very
that's
cool.
the part that gives me hope that my children will see a different future than the future I saw when I was just starting in this industry
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what was being done. You mentioned a cool boat, by the way, Savannah. I saw that on
Ooh,
one of
that's
your
my favorite.
profiles. Yeah, I got to tell
love
you,
that
it's one of mine too. I actually helped build that at DeVries when Ted McCumber was the captain and having it built. I put some equipment on it, and I was actually privileged to be over there in Holland and on board while they were outfitting the boat. And
Lucky.
well, it's like I said, it's a privilege. It's so cool
Yeah.
to see that kind of stuff. And when I was looking at your bio and you mentioned that, I thought, now there's something that we have in common. And there's also just a really cool shipyard and a really cool industry guy in Ted. So shout out.
Fedship. Let me come see that boat.
So Samantha, what do you see for your future? Where are you going to go now? Besides
This is
Costa
such
Rica?
a dreaded question. I have no idea. I
That's all right.
plan. I don't plan long term. I mean, do I have a dream long term vision? Sure. I mean, who doesn't? Like, yeah, I'll be a millionaire and I'll have my own yacht and I'll be gone with the wind. But ideally, I would like to just grow my business, grow PWI, and be happy. I think
That's
it's
at
simple.
the end of the day, that is one of the most important things I think a lot of us lose sight of is we do what we do hopefully to be happy, to find what our definition of success is, and every day get up excited about what you're going to do that day. So I'm basically just putting it out here now that we're enjoying this conversation, and if you're watching or listening and you're a woman in yachting and you don't know about professional women in yachting, if you're crew in yachting and would like to find some more resources, hit up Samantha Moore. She's got a great organization here. They're doing some really cool things. I hope to come out to the beach and watch that sea turtle release
That's
coming
our
up.
favorite. Yes, if you're listening,
Tell us about it.
on August 20th, we have an amazing opportunity to see baby sea turtles get released on the beach. We do a open bar cocktail dinner beforehand. You have to listen to a 45-minute presentation per the law, but at NSU's auditorium. But it's beautiful. It's right there on the inlet. You watch the sunset. It's amazing. And then we drive over to the beach, and they release as many baby sea turtles as they have that are ready to go for that day. Last year, I think it was like 20
I was going to say,
something.
you did it last year too.
Oh, it was so amazing.
Stunning. I love it.
We can only have 50 people and no photography, obviously, for the little babies. But yeah, tickets are on sale now, and we're so excited. All the proceeds from our ticket sales go directly to NSU. We present them with a check at the end of the night.
Bravo.
So everything is directly to the sea turtles
Cool.
immediately. So
Cool. I love it.
It's really fun.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. Well, Samantha, thank you. Thanks for sitting with me. Thank you for joining Yachting USA. I think this has been a wonderful conversation. I admire everything you've put together, and I wish you nothing but amazing success in the future.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And likewise, this has been fun, and I hope you the most success too.
All right, darling. Be well.
Yes, you too.
And until next time, I'm out of here.